I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. We are changing this planet one woman at a time. We're changing families and communities, and we're bringing our light, our energy, and our power to this planet because we're needed at this moment. This is the time of the divine feminine emerging. I get the honor of introducing you to extraordinary women who are change makers, who are here with extraordinary commitment and dedication to enlivening and uplifting the feminine. So let me introduce you today to Susan Jenkins. She is been on the shamanic path for 37 years. She teaches shamanic spirit and earth-based practices to help people heal, empower themselves, embody their shining essence, and manifest their soul purpose. She is a heart-centered, multidimensional light worker. Clients report profound healing and positive shifts from working with her in her Dreaming and Embody Your Vision private program and her Birthing into Being group program. Susan, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here. Yes.
Well, it's just so wonderful. Everybody, Susan and I sort of met because she was doing a summit and she invited me. And it's so interesting when you meet people and you know that they are sister souls, that you've been connected with them before. So I'm really grateful that you're here. And I want to talk about, a multidimensional light worker. What is that?
Well, okay. So I was going to say I believe, but I know that we are all multi-dimensional beings of light. We are these beings of light who, in the center of our beings, we have this small body, this lifetime, yet we are multi-dimensional beings of light. And so being a multi-dimensional being light worker is that I am not only expanding and radiating my light from my center of my being out beyond my body, beyond the physical realm, but I'm also open to and receiving and connecting with all of the beautiful divine light that is flowing towards us when we're open to receiving it. And there are a lot of light beings in the others, in the spirit realms, who are coming closer and closer and closer. I've found, Cynthia, especially in these past couple of years, I would say, I've had like these luminous light, a lot of different luminous light beings coming in closer and closer in my sphere, including a lot of goddess energy, as I have been deeply committed to tapping into my divine feminine essence and learning what that's about, learning how to really be rather than do, which I think a lot of we women are learning right now. To me, that's a lot of the remembering that our most divine connection, intuition, the dreaming from the earth comes from a space of quietness and beingness. And we're educated out of that to think, to educate, to, learn all the things. And so I feel like we're being called, men and women, to return back to that feminine essence, that place of beingness, which to me is in the shamanic work, my work. I'm dedicated to helping people drop fully in, be present in your body right here, right now, and at the same time, be aware of and expand it into the multidimensional beings of light that we are. And when we do that, wow, life is a whole other mystical and magical experience.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying, but I want to, a lot of the people that I know that follow me, are highly sensitive. They're intuitive. They get downloads. Sometimes they're being gifted, but they don't know how to put it together. Where did you come from? So, not from the etheric, but, where did you, what was the journey from your birth to doing what you do today? Because most of us who are doing this kind of work on the planet, this isn't how we were born.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting. Someone asked me that earlier, Cynthia, and well, the shamanic work, I know that a very common thread, there are so many different ways of practicing shamanism, but the common thread is a deep, deep connection to the earth, to nature. It's like we're unified. Well, we all are unified and one with nature, but we're not so aware of it. From the get-go, I spent my life, I grew up in suburbia outside of Boston, but I spent all of my time when I wasn't in school or at home doing homework or what, out in nature. I would drag around this wooden ladder with my friend, and I think we climbed every single tree within a 3 mile radius of our house, and we would sit up there in the wind in a blizzard. And so my connection to nature has always been like my place. That's where I feel most grounded, most who I am. It's my happy place, and it's also my most soulful connection to who I am. So I really came in that way, and I had parents who really loved nature too. And then I had this experience. This is where the other part came from. I won't get into it a long thing, but I had a shamanic initiation through a very, very intense health crisis 37 years ago, where I was fine one day, and within a couple of days, I had so many crazy symptoms. I was in a wheelchair, I was practically blind, and I was told I didn't have very long to live, don't have children, and all hope was false hope. And at that time, I was listening, and from what I call my warrior self, listening, being like, wow, that is not my fate. And I was like, it was like I was able to step back from into who I am, this spiritual, this spirit being, and watching and really being in this place of quite a lot of knowing and wisdom, that everything I had I always been learning about, how we create our world, our belief systems, how language creates worlds. I was always very deeply into very non-traditional ways of thinking and being. For since I was, probably a teenager. And so I just knew, oh, this is the time to bring in everything that I've been, interested in, bringing it together and healing myself. And so I was sent home, told all hope was false hope. And I heard a voice in my head saying, meditate. You're going to meditate starting tomorrow. Go outside on the earth at 10, 2, and 7 every day, and invite anyone who wants to be part of helping you, to invite, to join you, and visualize yourself in perfect health, and we'll be there with you. And that's what I did. That was my big initiation. I heard voices. I was told I was a medicine dreamer. I was connecting, like the veils between the worlds were completely disappeared. And I just had this incredibly deep spiritual awakening and experience through this most intense physical dismemberment journey in shamanic terms. And then people, it took 4 years for me to go deep inside. I used a lot of other healers. I invited a lot of other healers to help me as well. But what I learned in that was, you know, the power of not being victim to even the most dire of circumstances and even diagnosis, and really looking at how we get to choose what we believe in, question every thought, question everything that's being projected upon us. And so that's where I came from.
Well,
That got me here.
what I love, I love this story, but what I really love about what you are saying, and I really want to have this conversation with you, is obedience.
Mm,
Because some people could have heard that voice and not paid
yeah.
any attention because they were connected to the diagnosis or the fear or the doubt. And
Yeah.
and I really want to talk, because I've had experiences in my life where I've been guided to do things that made no sense. That
Yeah.
other people were going, "What are you doing? Are you crazy?
Hmm.
Why are you going through that doorway?" But there was
Hmm.
something that said, if I'm obedient to this, there's something powerful. So I would love for you to just give me your take on obedience and really listening to that still small voice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's interesting because I feel like it's in the field right now, Cynthia. I mean, let's talk about it. We talked about it on my summit, dismantling the patriarchy, dismantling, the white supremacist society that we're all in, questioning authority, questioning every single thing that somehow we have been enculturated and educated into. This is how it is. This is who you believe. These are the authorities in charge, and don't even question it. And then, and so for me, that place of obedience, I've always been a rebel. And on some level, I've always been like, I haven't like just taken it on, been led. I mean, sometimes I have. I'm also a very trusting, innocent person. So I've let myself be led into situations where the people that I was then coming in contact with didn't have such virtuous ideas about what was going on. But I've always questioned that. And I feel like right now, this dismantling we're talking about, us stepping into our feminine power, us stepping into the center where the feminine energies are now really, really strong and pulsating, is questioning every single thought, questioning every single doubt that comes in. It's like, where did that come from? Let's release that. I do a lot of work around helping people call in portals in nature, like calling in a portal of nature in communion with our beings to release everything that is not ours, which is a lot in our field right now. Like, and so we set up portals and we work with nature to release that. And then we get to be like, and who am I? Who am I without that thought? Who am I without that identity that was placed upon me? Who am I without all the rules about what a woman and a wife and a girl is supposed to be? Like taking the warrior's sword to the codependent trance that many of us were raised in is so diminishing and disempowering, and doesn't and encourages us not to question obedience or question authority. And I am
Right.
about dismantling that and just being like, no, we got to question every single thought that goes through our head, especially the thoughts that have us in doubt and fear and who do I think I am? And can I really do this thing? Can I really come out in the world with these gifts? And then we get small again. So much of that is enculturated into us. It's like on purpose. We have been kept down, and we have been limited on purpose. I'm not saying this, them and us, but you know what I mean. This system that we have all been in and been grown up in does not encourage us to question or not be obedient if we feel this knowing like, wow, that does not feel good to me. That does not feel right. Go with our intuition. We haven't been taught. Now, what is your intuition telling you on that? Like when we're in grade school? No, we're not being asked that. But I'm
Well,
asking that all the time.
what's interesting is like when I wrote my book, I Choose Me, and I was doing research,
Yeah.
we were still property in the early 1900s. Women were property. And so our,
Yeah.
our, our, we were not encouraged to think, to be educated, to step out, to be creative,
Right.
to question,
Right.
in fact, the opposite was true. So I think that women right this moment are really,
Hmm.
in the exploration and the discovery of
Yeah.
how do we bring our voices? How do we bring our
Exactly.
intelligence? How do we bring our gifts? So, from your point of view, what's the biggest challenge with women dealing with not thinking they're enough?
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think for so many of us, it goes right back to when we were, right from the get-go, whatever culture, or situation we were born into, you know, as girls, as women, we're taught to step around. We're taught to be like, be quiet, be the peacemakers, be the whatever. And so that has us in a place of, like walking on eggshells around ourselves and feeling like, well, if I really spoke my truth, I'd be slammed. Or if I really spoke my truth, I would be shamed for creating chaos in the house. If I really, and so it's been like our trust in ourselves has been eroded right from the very beginning, having us feel like, well, we're not really enough. We don't know enough. People, just the way that um, people make sense of things in this culture, in the different cultures we've grown up in. And so I feel like it is our greatest responsibility right now. We talked about this on the summit, to really, really go deep into who, just being in ourselves and really looking at what is it about me that doesn't feel enough just being? What is it about me? Why am I questioning this beautiful knowing that came from a dream and being like, oh, forget it. And looking at the voices, looking at the different ways that we inside of ourselves are echoing, a lot of what has come our way that we've never been taught to question or put up beautiful protective shields to prevent that from coming in. So it's at a very deep level. It's in our blood and our bones, and it's also ancestral. We're bringing in our ancestral lines that were, that were overpowered, that were disempowered, that were enslaved, that were whatever that was. And so it really is that deep inner warrior work of really creating a space, if we can. First of all, it's being able to create a space of self-love. And that's the first step. And it's like, whoa, that's not so easy for women. It's like, wow, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what it would mean for me to do that. And is that enough? That's the other thing. I teach my clients too. It's like just being who we are. I don't even like to use the word just. Being who we are in the profundity and multidimensional space of who we actually are and who we are is so much more than not enough. It's like everything. And so for women to be able to even let themselves drop in and just be and not do, let their mind go rest on the earth and sit there and just be and look at what part of them doesn't feel enough because they're not doing or taking action. I mean, I feel like that is where it comes. And then, when that impulse to think, which is an addiction that takes us out of the deep feeling of, oh my God, if I am just being and I just drop in, and what if I find that I'm not enough and that I'm even like a void? That's scary to people, to just really be in the beingness, which is the call of the divine feminine. The earth is asking us, be embodied. I'm here with you. Connect with me. Let me just stream in my dreaming for you. And so, yeah, that self-worth, I feel like, is a lot of what we're clearing from our field, because most of it's not even ours, but it sure comes in. Maybe even as early as the womb. We're in the field of our mother's doubts of not feeling enough, right?
Exactly. That's beautiful. Well, I always ask everybody the same last question, but before I ask you that question, I want you to tell people how to find you, how to find your work, how to connect with you.
Yes. Well, you can connect with me on my website, which is shamanichealingwork.com. And maybe you can put a link there somewhere. So shamanichealingwork.com. And so when you go in there, you can read about what I do. But I also have this little pop-up that comes up that says, book a free visioning call with me. And you can go in and enter your name, and it will take you to an application. I like to have an application for my free visioning calls, because then we can really make the most of our call. I know exactly where we're starting from. It'll ask what your challenges are. And so that would be a good way to come in. Also on my website, they can see right at the top to claim their free gifts. And I have a journey to the butterfly, the red-tailed hawk, this beautiful rainbow meditation that clears your field. So if you could also get my free gifts, and that would bring you right into my space. And then you can learn about shamanic journeying and get my emails. And yeah, that's the primary way to get in touch with me, is just go to my website and you can follow the breadcrumbs from there.
Yeah, so shamanichealingwork.com.
Yeah.
So here's my last question. What is the one thing you want women to know about awakening?
Wow. Okay. Well, what comes to me is to not be afraid of it. I feel like people are afraid to awaken. It's like, what does that even mean? And who am I to think that I could be awakened? And really let go of any ego or any worry about what that even means, and know. I mean, what I've discovered, I mean, awakening is a process. I mean, we're never, it's like this awakening and then birthing and awakening and awakening. But I feel like a lot of women are afraid to even allow themselves that opportunity or that chance to even think about awakening to the light of who they are. And I think that sometimes what stops them too, Cynthia, is that they're afraid. I remember this for me. If they let themselves really drop into the truth of their being and really awaken to the light of their essence, that their whole life might fall apart, that they might have to leave their family, they might have to leave their partnership. And it's possible that that's true. But I say, the to be illuminated and in the light of our being and not tiptoeing around and trying to fit into all the different boxes and not feel empowered is like dying. And so allowing ourselves to awaken, even if, I mean, we have to shed the skins, which all of us are doing whether we like it or not right now. I mean, everything's changing. And so, not to be afraid of awakening, not to be afraid of what might happen if we really allow ourselves to do the work and to peel back the layers, and know and trust that we're divine beings and that we have made agreements, soul agreements, and this time is exactly now. And if now is the time to awake, when you're like got this stirring and it's like, all right, I'm busting out of my chrysalis. I have to spread my wings. I have to do this no matter what. Then that's exactly what's meant to happen, which is happening to so many right now. So not being afraid about awakening, that just a
Absolutely.
beautiful journey of light.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, ladies, do not allow the fear to stop you from moving. That's what we're
Yes.
called to do. Susan, thank you so much for being here. You've got so much wisdom and so much knowledge, and I'm so grateful to know you and to share you with my people. You're quite
Oh,
amazing.
oh, thank you. Well, you too, my dear. I'm so glad I've had a chance to get to know you and meet you over these past couple of months. Just my pleasure and my honor. Thanks for having
Oh,
me.
my pleasure. Okay, ladies, we put up new content every week. You get to meet amazing women doing extraordinary things. And I want to say that these are ordinary women doing
Oh,
extraordinary things. And so if they can do it, so can you. So please come back, share the podcast with other people. Know that I love you and I'm excited to be here sharing with you. And I will see you next time. Much love to you.